Hi. It is at 12. It's a little bit after 12. Hey, where am I? Yay! Hi. Welcome. I'm Charlotte from Charlotte So Natural here in Newton, Kansas. SoNatural.com on the web. And I had been doing Wisdom Wednesdays, but we sort of fell off the wagon. And today I am working on a project, and I asked Kirsten if she had time to dash away from the store and come film me. So you've caught me working right here in my sewing room, and I just wanted to share some of the things that I'm learning. So I was thinking, you know, this is like a pretty good project to show how you can deviate from a pattern. So let me tell you what I'm working on. Hoffman of California, who does beautiful batiks, is starting a new program. They just started it this in January, and this was the first one. And every month they're sending us a collection of 1895s and a pattern that they've put together using those exact fabrics. So I hadn't done a Lone Star for a while. I really like this. So we got the kit out, and I brought it home, and it's really well illustrated. It has great color pictures of all the batiks. These are the 8, actually they're not batiks, they're hand-dyed solids that coordinate with all the Hoffman batiks in their lines. And it has good diagrams, and it starts with good instructions. Let's see, starts with tips, has really good tips. And then it starts with the instructions. So I started reading it, and I've done this before, but I've always done Lone Stars as a strip project. And if you've never done a Lone Star, you might not know that, and this might just suit you fine, because she starts out, she says cut 2-inch strips, 2-inch wide strips from the batiks. And the nice thing is the batiks, if you work with them, you know that they don't have as much give to them as cotton prints do. So they're a little more what we would call stable in the crosswise grain. So they're easier to work with on a project like this. But she cuts 2-inch strips, and then she starts cutting individual diamonds. I was like, what? Okay, I'm not doing that. So that's what this would look like. So you would be cutting a strip. This started out a 2.5-inch strip from my scrap bin. So I cut it down to 2, and then you would start cutting individual diamonds. And I'm like looking at this going, that's a lot of diamonds. Why are we doing that? So I started studying the pattern a little bit and thought, surely I can do this project with strips. So I took this, and she has done a good job of this. This is the illustration. These are the two different legs of the quilt, of the star. And she called them odd and even, because they are not mirror image. This one has, like for instance, you can maybe see on the gold here, the gold starts on the outside, ends on the outside, but here on this one, it's just 2 golds on the inside. So that gives you an idea of the difference of the two. But each of these is repeated 4 times, and each of these is repeated 4 times, which gives us the 8 legs of this Lone Star. So I just, like for my own, was trying to figure this out a little bit more in depth. So I just took some painter's tape, and I just taped up the front of my pattern, and I just taped up the front of my pattern, and those are my 2 legs. So I started laying out my strips here on the table, and first what I did was I went to Google, and I Googled strip set. Hey Randy, we're live on Facebook. Are you making lunch? Randy's home. I told you, Kirsten just dropped into my sewing room. I'm in the middle of this project. Life goes on. Glad I don't have a cat walking around, knock wood. Oh, the cat has arrived too. So, okay. So I Googled, like I said, the Jelly Lone Star, and she talks about how to lay out strips. And so one of the things that I am doing is, so that I can make the most out of my strip set, I am going to sew that together first and then cut my pieced strips into rows. So one of the things I did was first because what's so important about this project is a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Really what's so important about this project is that the seam allowance is always the same, no matter what direction you're sewing. So it really could be called, the old Mary Ellen Hopkins way back used to call it our personal seam allowance. So what you have is a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Just make sure you use the same sewing machine and sew it the same way each time you're sewing. So this project has quite a few tips in it, so I would love to do a Zoom meet. If you're at all interested in this and want to get a little more in depth and ask a few more questions, please put in the comments that you're interested in it, and I will send you an invitation to a Zoom meet. And what I'm thinking about right now is the Sunday afternoon before the Super Bowl, that I want to hopefully get this project a little bit further along so that I can show you more in more detail what I'm talking about. So I have put together a strip set. I have cut one apart, and this is the first row in my diagram. So what I'm going to do is do that for each row. But remember, each one is repeated 4 times, so I'm only going to be doing this 4 times. I've picked a sewing machine that sews really quickly. Fast is really the operative word. It's fast. If you have, like, maybe your featherweight sews really fast, because all you need this to do is straight sew really fast. You don't want to stretch it all. You're going to want to sew all of your strips together, and then press all the seam allowances the same direction in the same 4 sets, and then in the other direction the other 4 sets. So anyway, this is just my Wednesday tip, Wisdom Wednesday tip, is when you see a project, the pattern is a good start, but you don't have to stick with that. Feel free to deviate and to get to a technique that's comfortable for you to do, because this is like a fun hobby, and we don't have to struggle like I would be struggling sewing those little individual diamonds together, and that would not be fun for me. So I hope you've enjoyed this, and like I said, I'd love to do a Zoom meet, do a little bit more detail, show you step by step how I have approached this project. We do have these kits available in the store right now. They are also online, so natural.com. One of the new items, I think you can find that listed there, but it's called Checkmate in honor of the porter. So anyway, thanks for joining me. I hope you have a good lunch, and we will see you again. Thanks.